Also known as, wearing clothes at home is not what I wanted. Fortunately I met on the platform, Huajia's 4 members and 8 machines are crazily buying, unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, the whole family wore it together. Not yet sad. My biological father is a child who has not been a scholar for 9 years, my mother is a goddess of embroidery with 10 fingers that do not touch the spring water, she, Hua Tian, is a naive 7-year-old child. I found that, there is another one in my mother's womb that will only be born next year. The whole family still doesn't know that Hua Nai is reborn. It is said that the Grand Duke entrusted her with a dream, causing droughts, locusts, earthquakes, refugees, and epidemics to circulate around her. Huajia village should seize the opportunity and mobilize the entire village to escape famine. Surprisingly, the 4 family members share the flower planter crossing support platform, which provides you with the platform to make good use of. Keywords of the novel. Farming without panic, my whole family has gold fingers without pop-ups. Farming without panic, my whole family has gold fingers. Download the complete set of TXT, Farming Without Panic, My Whole Family Has Gold Fingers latest chapters to read. Chapter 1. 2 Houses in a Group, Old Lady Reborn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. 2 Houses in a Group, Old Lady Reborn. Milk, you can't die. If you die, your father will be filial for 3 years, and it's about to. The room was filled with cries of adults and children. The girl lying on the old lady's body in front of her suddenly stopped crying halfway and froze. Next to her stood a girl who was slightly taller than her, staring down at the corner below. That's the location of the second room, where the mother lowered her head and pretended to be a quail, while the other one didn't know what expression to make. Hua Tian. Do you still have a heart? One night hurts you the most, even though she's lying in bed, you're indifferent, scolded the girl who was staring at her. Hua Tian suddenly stood up and skillfully broke free from the small hand tightly held by her mother, pushing away the young girl who was lying on the old lady's back. Then he said, Sister, if you don't let go, you will really crush Nai to death. She has already woken up. To avoid misunderstanding, let's say it first. At this moment, memories flash like a screen. Hua Tian saw the old lady's chest twitch suddenly, as if she had regained her breath. The elder sister wiped away her tears and leaned over, staring closely at Nai. Second sister also rushed forward like in a tragic drama, wiping her tears and sobbing, saying, Nai, really, really, really awake. Hua Tian saw that Nai's eyelids were struggling to move, as if she wanted to open them. So he took one hand of Nai's and quickly pressed down on her tiger mouth. Death. 4 little girls. You help grandma up. It turned out to be her own granddaughter, and the old lady naturally wanted to change her mind. Because it was the village doctor Hua Lao who woke her up last time. She thought the old thing was starting over again, and this time it's somehow different. Hua Tian just doesn't know the old lady's feelings. If she knows, she must tell her because the hearts of the second wife and daughter have changed. Dad. I don't know where it is yet. Hua Tian turned to the side and back of the old lady and helped her up. By the way, give your mother a reassuring look. My mother was still in a daze just now, but her memory hasn't come back yet. It's August now, and uncle has already set foot on the road to the autumn entrance examination. The scorching heat is unbearable, and the water in the river is almost bottoming out. Her former owner had a high fever that persisted, while her mother's former owner fainted due to hypoglycemia. The 2 of them woke up and sat up one after another in the room, both realizing that they had crossed over and were pondering. The door was then pushed open, and a woman with dark brown skin came in to summon someone before leaving. Hua Tian's mind flashed with an idea, and he grabbed the woman sitting next to him. Without saying anything, he first gave the code. Peach 11. Chopping hands and buying non-stop. Oh my dear mother. Hua Tian just thought that if it weren't for her own mother, she would explain her craving. if it were my own mother, then I would make a fortune. But, what about 2 more? The 2 fell silent. Where did Dad and the waiter go? Without time to be sad or moved, in order to prevent the brown-skinned woman from going back and forth, the 2 quickly followed. Coming over, I saw the scene in front of me. The old lady was so angry that she lay down in bed. The old lady's belly made a gurgling sound. Receiving her daughter's eyes, Kai Shi, the mother of Hua Tian in the second room, suddenly stood up. I'm going to cook porridge. Then she clenched her fists and left the room. Hua Tian quickly took 2 steps to follow her and said, Mom. I'll come with you, I'll make a fire for you. Fortunately, she often organizes camping, and these skills are not difficult for her. How can a mother who grew up in the city know how to light a stove and burn dirt? The original owner's mother is also from the city, and setting fires is done by servants. The second person's family is not busy, you and Zionir can go find the second person. Also, by the way, bring the third uncle and the old man and lady from the village. You go cook for the third family. After finishing speaking, Anai thought to herself that she felt guilty towards the second family in her previous life. Now that the second family is pregnant, it is not advisable to work hard, but the month is not big and she is not aware of it yet. Mom, Xiaobao wants to drink milk, let Danier go. Auntie, who is used to cheating and being slippery, secretly pinched the boy in his arms, and the boy cried out, wow. I can't call you anymore, can I? If I ask you to go, you can go. Old man, let me go with you. Look at this unfilial daughter. Law, this is going to make me angry and die. The old lady immediately screamed out. Hua Tian has seen the essence of cheap grandma's acting. With a face that can change easily, she wants to say that Oscar owes you a little gold medal. The man next to his aunt stood up and kicked her asshole hard. Auntie felt pain and let go of the boy in her arms. Whatever your mother asked you to do, you can go. With so much talk, why don't you go quickly? I'll kill you in anger. It seems that this is her uncle. Auntie reluctantly left the room. Hua Tian walked over and tugged at his mother's clothes. Mom, Dad is helping in the field. You're not familiar with the road, so I'll go with you. Huanyang Kai Shuefen quickly rewrote Hua Tian's hand in her palm and said, let's go find your father. Mom, don't worry, Hua Tian whispered and turned to the old lady with a smile. Ah Nai, let's go find Dad first. Hua Nai nodded and waved her hand, go. After going out, Huanyang's tight breath relaxed slightly. Hua Tian walked with his mother for a while before saying, Mom, no, Mom, we need to get used to changing our tune. Listen to me first. I've read many books and TV dramas, and we're all soul-piercing. We're in a fictional court with a similar environment as the Song dynasty, called De Yong. What can be confirmed now is that both you and I have passed through, and I don't know if the father in the field is my own father. We have found him, and I will tell you the general background. What else are you saying? Hurry up. The mother walked quickly, and Hua Tian's short legs chased after Fei Lao vigorously. After a while, the 2 of them sweated profusely and were so thirsty that they rushed to the field. At this time, the rice is green, and yellow. It is not the season for autumn harvest, but under the scorching sun, the fields are filled with heads. Is this not dry? The clan elders were thinking of rushing to harvest, so as not to let the rice run dry and eventually die, resulting in plump rice. Dad! Dad! Blooming flowers. Sandetsi. Hua Tian clasped his hands around his mouth and shouted. Miss, come quickly. Uncle has just woken up from the heat and is looking for you. Sandetsi tiptoed up and stretched his head, waving his bamboo hat, quickly calling out. Hua Tian Sayazi hurriedly ran over, while Huanyang Kai Shi ran after her with a skirt in hand. Dad! It's me, Hua Tian is sweet and sweet, Hua Tian said with a wry expression. Sandezi, lead the villagers to disperse a bit, stuffy. Villagers, thank you. My wife and the girl are here, I'm fine now. Sandezi dispersed with the villagers. After the crowd dispersed, the father mysteriously pulled the mother and daughter down, and the three of them leaned together and said, "Isn't it double 10 one high buy? Girl, did you buy that kind of script killing experience or something? What's wrong with this?" "Yes, just Sandezi, he said he was my book boy. Alas, Dad, I'm wearing it now. I'm wearing it in Yongchao." "What? It's super loud." "Shoo." Hua Tian's index finger rested on his lips. "What? Little voice, flower dad. My student said that crossing time requires wearing golden fingers, do we have them?" Kai Shuefen quickly asked. New book seeking followed. Up reading, collection, recommendation tickets, monthly tickets, comments, really group seeking, woo-woo. I need your love, Momoda. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Old Stories of Two Houses. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Old Stories of Two Houses. This. Hua Tian hesitated and said, "I have only regained my original memory, so there's nothing unusual about it. Mom and Dad, please take a look at whether you have jade pendants, rings, knives on your body. Anyway, they are things you carry with you. I have a jade pendant here." Father Hua dug out his hard object from his belt. Huanyang flipped over and finally pulled out the only hairpin on her head. Hua Tian said with a strange expression, "Drip blood." Father Hua and Mother Hua stared at Hua Tian like crazy people. "Well, haven't you heard of Grandpa Yupai, the space for magical tools or something? I don't know if you have either. How did this drip?" Father Hua couldn't help but say. "I don't know what to think about biting my fingers in ancient dramas." Huanyang looked at her fingers with a skeptical expression. Hua Tian looked around and saw the sickle with his sharp eyes. "Use it. This hasn't been disinfected, what should I do if I get infected?" Huanyang looked at Hua Tian and couldn't express herself. This is her own daughter. "Dad, look. There are geese." Hua Tian suddenly pointed to the sky. "Immediately pick up the sickle, use the tip of the knife, pick up Dad's finger, and stab it." "No. Are you sure it's my sweetness?" Hua's father also doubted Hua Tian's background. "Dad, don't waste it." Hua Tian grabbed Hua Dad's hand and nodded at the jade pendant and hairpin. Result: there is no result. Hua Tian saw that Huanyang was not so resistant to that little blood, so she tried to imitate her mother's words, but still. To no avail. "Come, summon me, all. System, all, I am the host, come out quickly." The two of them continued to draw ladles, but it was still useless. But it's not egg. Forget it, at least we're a family. If we still have a chance to discuss something, it's just a blessing from heaven. Otherwise, our electric shock method wouldn't have died. Even worse, just a servant. Huanyang suddenly felt a little sad. The other two were also feeling sad for a while. As the sun rose higher and higher, sweat filled their foreheads and noses. Hua Tian finally remembered Hua Nai's explanation. "Dad, Nai asked us to take Uncle Li Zheng and the elders of the clan. Let's go and call someone. Here, at the water source. Sweetheart, could you please give us some background science? Your mother and I have a dark eye," Hua Dad said as he pulled them over. "Okay. My original father passed the Tongxing exam at the age of 16, and he is 4 years younger than my uncle. My uncle passed the Tongxing exam at the age of 18. Anna Fong is a widow with a child, giving birth to 3 sons and 1 daughter. Prosperity, prosperity, bustling scenery, tranquility. It is not easy to provide 2 child children. Uncle managed the village 2 years ago to borrow some money and then begged for the only daughter of Dong Xinghu's family, which will make up for the expenses and expenses. When I arrived at my father, I saw that I had to borrow money to study again. At that time, my relatives and neighbors were all far away. My father gave up his enrollment and helped my grandfather with the accounting in the city. Due to my grandfather's appreciation, but as a businessman, men in the family were not allowed to take the imperial examination. Therefore, I married my only daughter, also known as my mother, to my father, who was studying and farming. I was born the following year. I don't know if it was a gap of 2 years in the middle, but in the following 9 years, my father took the exam 3 times but failed to become a scholar. We usually run our grain shop in the town, and it's only during the busy farming season that we bring our temporary workers to help. Uncle passed the imperial examination as a scholar 2 years ago, and this year he is 29. Dad is 20.5 this year, and uncle is 20.4. Uncle is not suitable for studying, he was abandoned by the prince early on. My aunt is 17 years old and has not yet married. In the year when Anai Fong was pregnant with her aunt, Grandpa went up the mountain to pick herbs and encountered a wild boar. He was fiercely bumped into, and although he was rescued by his aunt's father, he still died in the end. Dad's Huajia village is a rural area of medicine, where almost every family grows and knows medicine. Although they don't know much, they are still better than nothing. Due to taxation, grain remains the main crop. Huajia village is neither poor nor rich, and the grandfather and grandfather passed away in the same year. The person who called us to go to Anai's house was Aunt Dong, the one who scolded me was the eldest sister in the long room, who was 11, the one who was crying was the second sister, who was 10 years old, and the one who remained silent behind us was the third sister in the third room, who was 8 years old. I was 7 years old, and my cousin named Xiao Bao was 2 years old on this side. 3 people are talking to each other. After finishing, go call someone that room, the waiting time is always long, and Huanai Fong is lost in thought. Last time, the heir was listed as the son.in.law in the imperial examination. She was remarried by the widow and princess of the royal family, who stated that her eldest son must divorce his original wife and make her the legitimate wife without any concubines. The eldest son, citing the absence of a son in the Dong family for 10 years, sent a letter of divorce and invited the whole family to the wedding banquet. She saw that the wood was already a ship, but 10 years had passed since her mother.in.law and daughter.in.law were not plants and trees. She wanted to use a strategy of delaying the war and advised the Dong family to stay at home. On the way to the provincial capital, the drought intensified and refugees flooded the area. Their family left the villagers first, encountering bandits first, and then evil people. The second family suffered a miscarriage due to the bandits' collision, and then lost their child. The third family was humiliated and committed suicide by hitting a stone on the spot. In the time of the evil people, due to protecting her, the second son was knocked off his leg, and Zionir, protecting the weak Kaisher, was knocked off her head and became a foolish woman. When he reunited with his eldest son, the family was old, weak, sick, and disabled, and his 2 daughters were nowhere to be seen. The eldest son wiped tears behind his back and told him that if he didn't write a divorce letter, Dong would die of illness at home. Let his widower marry a widow, perfect match. After landing, Uncle Heisheng wrote a letter, stating that his father.in.law was eaten by a pack of wolves on his escape route. Dong and his mother.in.law were washed with tears every day, and their mother.in.law cried blind. Dong didn't hesitate. After getting married, the eldest son, Sheikh, became his father, and his grandson was actually a servant of the princess. Fortunately, the eldest son was reliable and passed the imperial examination on his own, becoming a vassal of the emperor. He was responsible for the emperor's private correspondence and reading advice letters. 1 year later, Xiaobao was found dead at the bottom of the well in the princess's mansion. Giving the cause of death is a slip into the well. 2 years later, her in-law's mother passed away, and Dong lost her soul and was trampled to death by a horse on the way to the coffin. Dni and Erni came to seek refuge, but due to unfamiliar paths, they fell into the lotus pond. However, they were rescued by the palace guards and had no choice but to marry the two. For another 5 years, Xian'er was married to an old marquis who was even older than her father as a continuation string. 1 year later, the father of the princess and the husband of Xian'er, Go Yen, rebelled. Due to Xian'er's unintentional report of meritorious service, the ignorant Xian'er was pardoned, the entire family was beheaded, and the woman served as a military girl. All the men of the Hua family died, and the princess's attendant somehow escaped, ultimately killing her. Opening her eyes again, she has been reborn. Princess's whole family, I am not compatible with you all. Don't let your whole family die, my mother doesn't have the surname Fong. Just one word. Damn it. What are you talking about, Chongqing family? Why is it so miserable? Li Zhenghua's Uncle San stared at Nai for a while. Hua Tian didn't remind her as she watched Nai's soul travel through space. After this experience, it was quite difficult for the elderly to recover. I was really angry with my aunt. The fields passed down by the grandfather were dominated by my aunt year by year, squeezing her family's fields away year by year. I saw grandma's eyes roll over and show a pair of white eyes. Third brother, listen to me, a 100-year drought is looming in Fengxian County. After a month, locust infestations ravaged the area. After half a month, the land in Hunan, Sichuan, Hubei, and Anhui provinces cracks one after another, and mountains and rocks slide down, causing refugees to rise in all directions. Jiuming Mountain's earth dragon turned around. 2 months later, the epidemic spread, and in March, the rioters formed a rebellion. The whole country was in turmoil, and the people were struggling to make ends meet. After finishing speaking, he slid in a wavy line and fainted. Thank you for the supreme recommendation ticket, thank you to the collectors. New players and new work seeking love and protection, seeking comments, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Embark on Escaping Wilderness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Embark on Escaping Wilderness. Hua Tian took Hua Nai's hand again and aimed it at the tiger's mouth. Hua Nai suddenly opened her eyes and glared fiercely. Hua Tian has reason to suspect that Nai acted throughout the entire process. Chongqing's, what did you just say? Why don't you say it again? Uncle San, did I say something? I just woke up. When did you guys come over? Forget it, looking at you like this, you seem to be quite angry with the Chongqing family. You're afraid of it. Third uncle will definitely make the decision for your family. As much as this land is, as much as it is. Xian'er, third grand uncle remembers that you have a good memory. Can you repeat what you just said? Hua Tian's eyes turned and he asked, do you want to roll your eyes? I don't know this skill. A bear girl, you say, why is it so weird? Why doesn't my eldest brother dream for me, but for his daughter. Law? It's really a stranger. Li Zhenghua's uncle roast. Hua Tian covered his mouth and chuckled lightly, clearing his throat. Cough, cough, third brother, listen to me. The old men were all lost in thought, while the old women had long been impatient. The whole village was rushing around, and we must not underestimate the power of the 8 women. Hua Tian believed that it would not take half an hour to ensure that no household was left behind from the beginning to the end of the village. Hua Nai tightly grasped Hua Tian's hand and looked at her seriously. Little Nai, tell Nai that your grandfather really said that. Does that mean we need to start immediately and flee? Hua Tian nodded forcefully to Nai and said, if the prince dreams, it's true. We have to escape, whether it's in the capital or even further north. How can you just enter the capital? You consider yourself a cabbage from Beijing, let alone become a refugee. Hua De lightly tapped Hua Tian's forehead. Yes, it's still Daddy who is clever. Hua Tian threw a wink to Daddy. Second, please ask your third uncle to provide you with a certificate. Take the land deed and land deed to the pawn shop, and from tomorrow on, be a dead pawn. After pawning, go buy horses, cows, and mules. If you run out of grain, you can buy more. Fortunately, your father-in-law invites people to help us collect our land every year. Did you finish collecting it as soon as possible? Don't forget to bring your sister back and then send a message to the county, asking your father-in-law's family to come over quickly. Our family is waiting for his family at Shilipo for a day, and there will be no waiting outside. Uncle San, can we do it? My in-laws have money, and they cannot do without refined rice and fine grains. Servants must bring what is useful, offer a high price, and under heavy rewards, there must be brave men. Huajia village is located at the northernmost point of Fengming town, while Fengying County is in the center, filled with dumplings from various villages and towns. What are you eating when the fields of the Chongqing family are sold? Are you serious? Uncle Hua San leaned back and admired the Chongqing family. Undoubtedly, he belongs to a scholarly family. He speaks confidently, always on the point, but at the same time, he is very skeptical. You all say that I sell land and land, can I still have a fake? Third uncle, you and the clan elders are guarding the water source, and you haven't seen the small fish with their mouths wide open and dying. Do you not believe me? Do you not believe my father-in-law? Hua Nai asked in response. That's not possible, have the old boys heard you? Go home and tell the mother-in-law and children to hurry up. Our family is faster than others, we need to seize the opportunity. You can't go to a pawn shop to collect money, just focus on those women who bet on the same pawn shop to collect money. Damn it. As long as there is silver, not silver notes. Boys, come with your 3 grandfathers to invite the ancestral hall and plaques. Uncle San used his tiger-headed staff, which symbolized the power of the clan leader, to fiercely lean towards the ground. At this moment, he is not only Li Zheng, but also the head of the Flower clan. No matter how difficult it is to flee from home, our ancestors cannot forget. Hua San, the Grand Duke, took the soil that had been dug out by his staff and wrapped it in a bundle of cattail leaves to break up the yellow soil under his feet. Homeland, we cannot forget it, he said. Sandetsi tied the carriage to a mule cart, and the family was preparing to rush to town. Hua Tian helped Huanyang onto the carriage. Huanai started to stir up and urged the whole family to move. Little girl. Your mother has it. Be careful. Dong, why don't you go to the foot of the mountain and call your parents? Take them all. Lao San, hurry up and tidy up the cart. He sure, De and I, go tidy up your belongings. And I, Sen and I, Xiao Bao, and Nai come. Hua Nai gritted her teeth and took out the key, pulling Xiao Bao towards the back hall. Dad, let's go. We're in a hurry. Hua Tian pulled down Hua's sleeve. Hua Shansheng held the still hot fields in his arms, feeling that everything was happening too quickly, making him feel a bit caught off guard. No, sweetness. Does your milk mean that your mother is now a person with 2 bodies? Mom, is the little grass in your stomach? Hua Tian asked in a low voice. Kai shook her head gently and said, after all, your milk is a person who has given birth to 4, so you should be able to see something. I'm not sure. I'll go to the town doctor to check the pulse later. Auntie and Miss, rest assured that Dr. Go is kind-hearted and skilled, which should be noticeable. Can we set off now, said Sandetsi, who was driving the mule ahead. Let's go. The blooming flowers settled down the mother and daughter, half framing the lady and waving their big hands. The mule cart started running quickly, much faster than the ox cart in the village, but it was not stable enough. By the way, parents, do you see if there are any errors or omissions in the letter I wrote to my grandfather? Hua Tian carried a pen and paper with him. Good day, grandfather. Today, I have received a dream from the Grand Duke, saying, we have reached an agreement with Li Zheng that we will wait for the grandfather's family on Shilipo for 1 day. It will be inconvenient to wait for them later. I hope grandfather will understand and come quickly to gather our heads. Here, add a sentence. Keep capable people and bring rice and grain. The two of them met and read the letter. Hua Fancheng added the important words that the old lady had to say. Hua Tian took out his pen and ink from her father's bag and began to write more. Ah! Hua Tian sighed. What's wrong? Little people are big ghosts. Why worry so much? Asked Father Hua. I don't know what the atmosphere of other families fleeing from famine is like, but our village doesn't seem particularly worried because we have the opportunity. Our village is dominated by the Flower surname, and our ancestors have also experienced migration, coming from the Central Plains to the north of the Yangtze River. Later, cousins with different surnames moved in one after another, experiencing 3 generations of great cohesion. Well, this saves a lot of accidents on the way to escape from famine and avoids the rebellion in the nest. Huan Yang nodded in agreement. The Hua family still doesn't like to marry people with the same surname, which strengthens the Hua family village and makes the journey safer, Hua's father added. The first stop was at the pawn shop next to Dr. Go in the Almond Hall. Father Hua is grateful that this pawn shop is located at the intersection of Huajia village and the town. It's better to count the number of villagers who set off today. The pawn shop later realized that it should not be able to sell at a higher price. The 3 of them quickly entered the pawn shop and settled down their wives and daughters. Excuse me, shopkeeper. How can I handle a good field? Hua Fancheng arched his hand and asked. 10 taels a year ago, 8 taels last year, and this year's situation is not good, 5 taels. The shopkeeper didn't lift his head and calculated with a click. The fields in Huajia village. The flowers are flourishing and frowning. You should know that Huajia village not only has good farmland but also medicinal fields. The shopkeeper just looked up at the family of 3 and exclaimed in surprise, oh. Hua Tongsheng, do you think she should be the daughter of Kai Shanren next to her? When it comes to my mother getting married back then, not to mention her 10-mile red makeup, but many people in the town and village know how to beat drums and gongs. How do you plan to be? The shopkeeper asked again. Hi. What do you think should be done? Is the platform coming? Are you coming? The author rubbed his hands nervously. Thank you for Yin Yang's recommended ticket. Friends, please ask for the ticket. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Platform Heisheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Platform Heisheng, 6 liang, die for it. All the grain in the field has been harvested, and the medicine will leave behind seedlings. The seedlings have little medicinal effect and cannot be planted on the road. But the seedlings are also more delicate, which is not something his family would consider even in case of drought. Selling land at this time has another advantage, which is that there is no need to pay grain tax, but the opposite disadvantage is that the good people become refugees. Put it away. The shopkeeper waved his big hand and took Flower Dad's land deed, looking at it. Good guy. 10 acres of fertile land and 1 acre of medicinal land. 4 acres of thin farmland, and the thin farmland that could still be sold for 5 liang 2 years ago is calculated as 3 liang. The medicinal field provided 5 or 2 halves of the seedlings, including banlangen, banksia, and honeysuckle seedlings. It can be considered an ordinary herb. Collect 77.5. Just looking at it, Flower Dad and Flower Mom haven't remembered yet, they don't have a very intuitive feeling. Hua Tian didn't have time to suffer. My family spent a lot of money and effort on these fields back then. Come out here and prepare to turn to the next door. Sandezi, please go explain to Manager Tong first and close the grain shop. We have collected all the rice, flour, oil, salt, and sugar in our house. Also, go to the department store to buy things that are used on the road, such as tung oil and jars. Dr. Go from Huajia village recycles some every year. So, seeing the 3 flower fathers, he didn't show any signs of vitality and said, "It's only August now, isn't there some medicine that hasn't been cooked yet?" Father Hua. Dr. Go, you misunderstood. I came to see the doctor with my wife. Didn't I just faint and wake up earlier? Faint? Didn't you call me back then? Just let me take a look. Dr. Gu first looked at Huanyang's eyes, nostrils, and then the tongue coating. The examination was very careful before the pulse was diagnosed. After a while, he calmly said, I have been pregnant for 2 months. I had to stop working hard and lose my life. I cook some red jujube congee every day to make up for it. Blooming flowers. This one is ripe, eat more liver, eat more red dates, and eat lamb marrow. Folic acid also needs to be replenished, he needs to buy some orange fruits. When Father Hua was slightly stunned, Dr. Gu had already prescribed the doctor's advice and anti-abortion medication. Don't bother, use your eyes less, and avoid eating raw and cold foods. Don't eat persimmons, Job's tears, etc. That's great. I've found excuses for my mother not to embroider and to avoid work, so my father can take it easy and go on duty. It's just that the poor old lady can't eat crabs anymore. Autumn moon crab roe, in this world, crabs have not been served yet, just think about it. I paid 1, 2, and 5 yuan at the pharmacy. Your milk should go to the village to collect medicine. The 3 of them left the pharmacy and didn't know what to do next. Father Hua thought of something. Let's go pull the cloth. We'll only buy cotton and linen. Huanyang pulled her daughter anxiously, as winter moon was approaching and she had to rush north. Za. Pai pai pa za. Ding. Although the support platform for flower growers has arrived late, we will never give up on anyone. There are thousands of passers-by, it's your turn to be a role model. The top 100 happiness values on the entire platform can achieve the ultimate wish. The 3 of them had just turned into an uninhabited alley, and after flipping over milk tea with the 8 machines, they experienced the feeling of electric shock before dying again. Hua Tian shook his hands and grabbed his parents, saying, Did you hear me? Father Hua was excitedly about to pick up Mother Hua and turn around, but was forcibly restrained by reason. I had to shake Hua Tian's hand wildly and say, I heard you. Huanyang remained calm and said, Just say that my student shouldn't dare to deceive me. Mom, don't pretend. Fortunately, you're pregnant. Otherwise, how can you explain that you don't know how to embroider? Hua Tian saw Huanyang hold on and poked her. Hua Xiaotian, you're only 7 years old, not 27 years old. You can still use bamboo shoots and stir-fried meat. Huanyang, Kai Shi, and comrade Kai Shuefen coldly threatened. Where is the support platform for travelers? Hua Tian quickly hid behind Huada and changed the topic. There are 4 passers-by to scan, 438 438 436 438 438 437 438 438 438 438 439, who are in an environment with happiness values that are exactly qualified. Open permissions. Passers-by forum. Open rules. 1 question per person per day. Grass is really our grass. But what about his chance to ask questions? Hua Tian asked again. The mouth cannot speak of the interlocutor, the spokesperson is their mother. Tip. 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 Platform login time, midnight every night, half an hour each round of opening time. Please prepare your answers and questions. Dick. The yellow small envelope flashes in the upper right corner of the platform. Platform, support platform for travelers. The page is grayed out. It's highly likely that it's offline. What is happiness value? How is it defined? Is it spiritual satisfaction or material satisfaction? Education Director Comrade Kai Shuefen's research on addiction has been launched again. Questions and answers. First of all, it must be closely related to knowledge and spirit. Hua Tian is a typical child from another family, supplies are definitely worth it, being prepared for any risks. Physical fitness is definitely worth it, and being disease-free and disaster-free is the first happiness. We can follow Maslow's needs, survival belonging growth, and the happiness pyramid to do it. Hua Dad used his brain to participate. Mom, did Huajia wrap her neck twice and a half before finally having a cesarean section? 2 hands plan, you need to practice yoga during pregnancy. This time, you can't shirk the urge to be busy preparing for classes. In addition, we need to learn the steps of cesarean section, and prepare the equipment and medication needed. It's best to have pictures and truth. Hua Tian believes that it is important for Huajia to be able to descend smoothly. A family of 4 needs to be neat and tidy, and the flowers and plants are still a part of the journey, which plays a big role. About equivalent to having 4 Taida women in his family. The platform's permissions definitely go beyond just having forums. The opportunity for us to travel is when we buy, and I think our platform will definitely provide this layer of functionality as we upgrade. Happiness, we need to live happily, suggested Hua Tian and his parents. That's right, come on. Dad reached out his palm and the 3 of them looked at each other. Huanyang and Hua Tian's hands continued to fold, creating a sense of ritual of cheering and cheering. With 3 hands folded and 3 thrusts down, the slogan softly shouted out. Happy life beckons to me, we must cheer, cheer, cheer. It's a bit like the 2nd grade in our family, said Hua Tian with a slight blush on her face. Unity. Girl, how can you despise yourself? Father Hua tapped Hua Tian with the back of his finger, causing his brain to collapse. Well, I'm going to buy some cloth. Turn right at the entrance of the alley for the 3rd room. Hua Tian took Huada and Huanyang with big strides towards the east, and the pitch-black alley gradually brightened as they walked out. Ah, yo Madam Kai, you're counting it. Look, can you add 50 taels of this batch of fabric to exchange for the screen face of the previous month? Madame Su warmly welcomed her, holding her hand and sweeping a row of fabrics with the other hand. Huanyang Kai Shuefen lowered her eyebrows and eyes with a wooden face, glancing at Hua Tian. Aunt Su, your mother's screen has been embroidered for 3 months, and it's still a famous double-dot-sided embroidery. You can't add 50 taels of fabric to this batch. Hua Tian stepped over and took her mother's hand, looking at Aunt Su with clear eyes. A gentleman doesn't take away people's love, he just doesn't expose the silver money. How much talent do you think? Empress Su was also a straightforward person. Add 3 extra 10-pound cotton quilts. Hua Tian scratched Huanyang's palm 3 times. Huanyang gritted her teeth and jumped out from between her teeth. Su Nyangzi thought that Kai Nyangzi was reluctant, but in fact, Hua Tian knew that his mother did not understand value, blindly guessed and was not good at bargaining. This was originally his father's strength. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Preparation for Refuge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Preparation for Refuge. Oh, Madam Kai, you are too skilled. We are not that difficult to say person, and I am not afraid to give you an answer. Our screen is favored by a noble person, otherwise it wouldn't be worth so much. I'll give you 3 more 8-pound cotton quilts. You can take them apart and save time to get 2 more quilts out. Su Nyangzi patted Huanyang's hand. Cough, these shoes look good to me, Hua Dad reminded when he found the opportunity. Yes, 10 sets of adult shoe uppers with 1,000-layer soles, and 5 sets of shoe uppers with soles for my daughter. Let's go home and exchange screens. Hua Tian checked with a square root in Huanyang's hand, which allowed her to receive the signal and agree to this deal. Add 2 identical portions on top of this gift, and the owner will pay for these 2 portions. Hua Fanqing knew that buying these would inevitably be nagged by his mother, but the most expensive way to escape famine was through shoes. Good shoes are durable and can also prevent mosquitoes, insects, stones, and sand. A pair of adult shoes cost 51, while another girl's shoes cost 21 per pair. The total cost is 1, 2, 5, and 61, Hua Tian helped count. Oh, my sister is really clever. Let's just keep 1 or 2 halves. I'll make the decision to wipe out 61. Mrs. Su was also very pleased. The shopkeeper of this branch drove a mule cart, 3 more men, and a cart of goods back to the second courtyard in the town. Coincidentally, Auntie had already sorted out all the belongings and gathered them in the front yard. There was a collision on the other side, and Auntie shook her hands and grabbed Father Hua, saying, "Second brother, I've heard what Sandesi said. I've put everything away. We really need to." Auntie. Yes. Our family needs to move. Hua Tian quickly blocked Auntie's words. Neighbors on this side, speaking now may cause unnecessary panic, and we should not consider people's conformity psychology. Just leave 2 pieces of these silk and satin, shopkeeper. The rest may be recycled. It's better to be frugal on the road. Hua Dad pointed to the high-stacked satin material. Okay, these fabrics were all delivered at the beginning of the year. I'll take back 60% of the original price, and you can keep these 60 liang. The shopkeeper gave the money and took away the satin material and the screen of pine crane yanian. Hua Tian pointed to the 2 remaining, "Lucky stars shine high," and, "Congratulations on getting rich," in the embroidery room group. Let's keep them well, maybe they can have unexpected effects. This embroidery skill is truly divine, and the god of wealth is like in front of me. Huada touched the Fu and Lu twin statues as if they were stuck on red satin. This embroidery skill is amazing. Do you know who passed it on to me? Huanyang patted off her father's rebellious hand. Grandmother, she's gone and almost lost, Hua Tian said regretfully. Unfortunately, this is your mother's last stroke, it should be at the bottom of the box. Kai Shuefen deeply admires these traditional skills. Mom, come here. Hua Tian led his parents to the room and closed the door. He took out the key to the hidden compartment under the bed and opened the makeup box. He then took out the key to the makeup box and opened the drawer of the wardrobe. Take out the makeup box containing silver bills from the drawer, then take out a wall brick and a golden brick set with a porcelain pillow from inside. Father Hua stared blankly at his daughter's operation and then at his daughter. Law. Dad, you're done. This is the heaviest dowry for my mother, Hua Tian glanced at Hua Dad. Alright, Dad and Mom, time is tight and the task is heavy. Let's prepare to escape. Hua Tian rolled his eyes and reminded him, but he didn't feel the tense atmosphere of other families' escape essays. Daughter, we have an advantage. By the way, take out your letter and I'll sign it with your mother. Don't believe it, Grandma. Hua's father advised Hua Tian not to feel pressured, but he didn't show any signs of relaxation. This family has been practicing calligraphy since childhood, with both soft and hard pens at their fingertips, unlike those who use a brush to write without hesitation. Mom, you come. Hua Tian stuck the letter in her arms and put it away. I'll go too, your father. I have to pick up livestock. Shuefen, you can take good care of it at home. Check what her aunt has collected, and then check yourself. Father Hua gently hugged Mother Hua, we'll go back as soon as we go. Fortunately, his belongings had not yet been fully assembled into the car. Sandetsi drove with his father and daughter, and the fast mule and whip caught the last bus from the horse shop to the county at noon. In order to be safe, Father Hua took a solid silver bean from the flower field purse and handed it to the driver. After delivering the letter, Huada took Hua Tian around the horse shop for a whole circle. The accompanying children deeply realized that their eloquence was not very effective in front of Huada, so they quickly closed their mouths. Hua Tian chuckled inwardly, knowing that his father had also served as the president of a livestock cooperative before joining a state-owned factory. Naturally, he chose livestock without hesitation, looking at his eyes, teeth, and hooves. How much do you say? Father Hua was surprised. A cow of 18 tails caught up with 6 acres of dry land, which is the best value manifestation of wanting to sharpen its tools in advance. Yazzie was so annoyed by Hua Dad that she leaned in with a smile and licked her face. Xianggong, you have such a good eye. You have chosen the strongest cow in our industry, and the horse costs 30 taels. Our cow price is already completely fair. Since that's the case, let's go to Madong village, my daughter. Hua Fansheng was not praised at all. He spoke with his strength and even boasted about it. When he arrived, Hua Tian had already told him that Madong village was the place where livestock were raised and sold. Hey! Don't worry, Xianggong. I'll go call the steward. The man quickly dragged Hua Dad away. After the steward came out, Hua Fansheng introduced himself and then pulled the scholar brother out to raise the banner. After some good talk and bad talk, he bought a cow and 2 mules for 40 taels, and then spared a cowshed and a mule cart. Yu Guanshi, it's easy to say. As soon as I announced this to the village, it's inevitable that all the villagers will come to buy it. But don't be too expensive, it's better to collect a few more heads as soon as possible. Hua Fansheng and the steward once again made friends. Flower Father drove the ox cart onto the flower field, while Sandetsi drove the mule back to the grain shop in the middle of the street and carried a whole cart of grain from the backyard, as the ox cart became more important. Bring along the shopkeeper Tong, who helped his brother block gambling debts and cut off a finger that was saved by his grandfather. At that time, his older brother was still unrepentant after experiencing this incident, so the shopkeeper Tong broke off his marriage with him. Later, because he had never married, he privately raised Sandesi as an orphan and adopted him, so he didn't worry. Shopkeeper Tong took a mule cart containing department stores and the group returned to the second courtyard. At this moment, the yard was filled with 4 carts full of people and goods, but it was not noticed that Aunt Jinghua could also drive mules. The 4 carts full of people and goods were heading northeast. This has provided great convenience for them to flee to the north. From the northeast, straight ahead is the official road. It's not acceptable for them to escape with food and be discovered. They didn't want to go to the capital either, but maybe they won't be able to leave after entering the city. So when they entered the village and everything was tidy up, they planned to take a small path north into the mountain road at night. Thank you for Yin Yang and Shiyue's recommended tickets. I will apply for the contract with the editor tomorrow. The babies wish me a successful signing. Also, please ask for votes and evaluations. Thank you. Everyone can also invest. I am a new account and have no opportunity to invest in myself. I can ensure continuous improvement, and everyone's investment will not be at a loss. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Not having a full mouth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Not having a full mouth. I'm back. I'm back. I'm really back. Uncle San led the villagers at the village entrance, eagerly anticipating. Uncle Santai, as a local official, should take care of the 10 miles and 8 townships. However, escaping from famine is not a good reputation. He didn't dare to make a big fuss, but he didn't care about his wives from other villages. Do you believe it now? Go, you all go quickly. If it's too slow, it won't please you. Some people who still don't believe in the Flower Lord's dream hesitated. Uncle Hua San asked them to keep an eye on whether Hua Fansheng and his wife had purchased them recklessly. The land deed once again proved that he had driven them out. Now that everyone has returned, there can still be a fake. They were the ones who were closest to Hua Taigong and acted the fastest, walking back and forth with Hua Lauer. Daughter. You're back. Hua Nai rushed forward with tight steps, tenderly caressing the face of her only daughter. They all said she had a son and a grandson, but her family only has one daughter. Last time she was forcibly taken as a concubine by the princess's father, she didn't end up well. Hua Tian always feels that Hua Nai has an extremely deep emotional connection with her family. In theory, rural people treat women as losers, but her milk is different. Her sons and daughters are treasures, so she lives the worst life by being frugal. This inevitably reminded her of her grandmother who passed away early due to esophageal cancer in high school. The elderly were always clinging to their children, and in poor years, they would not want to eat sugar cakes until they expired, just to wait for the children to eat during winter and summer vacations. In his past life, Grandpa also drowned early on. It can be imagined how difficult it was for Anai back then. In this life, she wants to make Anai eat and drink well, and live a peaceful and happy life in her old age. Fortunately, the Dai Yong dynasty followed the old customs and prioritized filial piety, with the oldest elders in almost every family being true spokespersons. So, only before Hua Nai, would the village elders and old ladies come to listen to Tai Dong's dream. "Mom, we're back too," Hua Dad reminded. "Just come back and take a look at your brother's car. What needs to be repaired?" Hua Nai pointed to Hua Fansheng and went to Uncle Hua's side. "Dad, I'll go too." Hua Tian also learned to draw in the calligraphy class, and sketched very well. Huan Yang also took out the gauze tent that had been torn off the bed, thinking that she would wrap around the frame of the car later. There are too many mosquitoes in the autumn moon. In my previous life, my daughter had allergic skin, and being bitten by mosquitoes can cause her to turn red for a long time. He has sent grass curtains all around the shed, and the roof is covered with a thin layer of wood. Comrade Kai feels that it is not reliable in case of storms. Just now on the road, the three of them gave the car a good review. I had already thought of a design plan before arriving home, and now it's just in time for implementation. The ox selected by Hua Fansheng is a mature ox that can pull a cart and a half. Uncle Hua was so excited when he saw the cart, and Hua Tian expressed his understanding. Old men loved cows and horses, just as modern men love cars and jokingly call them mistresses. "I understand everything I know." Uncle rubbed his hands and said, "Second brother, we are the fourth family to have cows." "Grandpa had it back then," Hua Tian interjected. "After the cow died, who in the village didn't eat a piece of meat?" From the previous dynasty to the present, oxen have been the main productive force of farmers and are usually prohibited from consumption unless they are old, dead, injured or sick. Uncle smacked his lips and said, "Although he is old, he is still chewing on the fragrance." Hua Nai led her aunt and rushed over. She took off her grass shoes and threw them at Hua Shu's head, saying, "Let you eat meat. Do what your brother says." "Mom. I'll do it, don't slap your face." Uncle A looks pretty and always cares about his face. Nai knows this. I saw Hua Fansheng take out the charcoal that Hua Tian urgently cut at home and draw a modified car. Remove 2 of the 4 wheels and replace them in the middle of the frame, and then install the other 2 on the center axle of the other half of the car. The design of the main car is divided into 2 layers. Upper and lower. 1/5 of the height is sawed off from the existing frame, leaving the original 8 cm high. A whole bed board is laid on it. In order to increase the load-bearing capacity of the second layer, 2 thick wooden sticks are added on each side of the car basket. In the afternoon, I will go to the bamboo forest at Huajia and chop a batch of bamboo to make a 1.2 meter low bamboo bed, which will be placed on the second floor. The height of the second floor is 2/3 of that of the first floor carriage. Then use bamboo strips to arch into a semicircle and cover the roof, so that Grandma and Aunt can sleep on the upper floor. Nai and Auntie can weave rattan mats in the afternoon, arch the roof, and then tie them to it. Finally, the mother asked Manager Tong to use the tung oil he bought in the morning to brush the large pieces of hemp cloth with 2 layers, so that even in the event of heavy rain, he cannot be so panicked. When in the wild, it can also be laid on the ground to prevent moisture from soaking the bedding. Nail 4 nails in the middle of the 4 main wooden sticks on the frame to hang bound poultry, and pull 4 hemp ropes around the car to dry meat, vegetables, and medicine that cannot be dried in time. You can't let go under the car either. Tie all the kitchen knives, sickles, and agricultural tools underneath, and they can also be used as weapons when encountering bad people. Dad, Auntie, let's go chop bamboo tubes. They are essential for boiling water and rice. Sandezi, Uncle, you also need to chop a few more formed bamboo tubes back to prepare for unexpected needs. Hua Tian advised. Okay, it's a big world, and you can eat the most. Only when you are full can you work hard. Hua's father loves his daughter-in-law, so he quickly took out the small charcoal-burning stove in the town and put a handful of japonica rice into it to cook thick congee, which is as thick as chopsticks can stand in congee water. Second, who's eating enough of your small pot? Hua Dad was yelled by Nai. Mother, Dr. Gu ordered us to make congee for fun mother. Hua Father roared back immediately, but the grass was still in Shuefen's stomach. Hua Nai brought out a large pot of pottered water congee, on which several oil dregs were floating. Her sister and brother scrambled to eat. Hua Nai glanced at Hua Tian with a bitter face. Drink more water, it's drought. Hua Tian cast a pitiful look at Hua Dad. No way, let's fry some beef ear horns first. It's so sweet on the way, so as not to be snatched by others. If it gets into my stomach, it's my own. Father Hua stood up and turned to the stove. Hua Tian quickly caught up, otherwise Huada wouldn't know the way. They don't fry fried dough twists in the north. Mantou is delicious when steamed on the road. Foods that can be consumed for a long time are either salty or oily. Father Hua's hand was very loose. He rolled up his sleeves, kneaded the noodles, added sugar and eggs, and a whole big oil pot. Half a bag of white noodles mixed with half a bag of coarse noodles from Grandma's house. His mother also came to help. Nai started pounding her legs and shouting, "Losers." She saw that Hua Dad's eggs had also been smashed, the noodles had been watered, and the oil was melting. No matter how much she said, she couldn't speak. In fact, Hua Tian didn't think that Nai was too strong in preventing it, and his father's actions were reasonable. There is no saying in the flower family that a gentleman can cook far away. The flower milk widow mother takes care of her children and helps people pick medicine and harvest rice. There is nothing that a man in the family cannot do to make a meal. After eating congee, the delicious smell of fried ox horn came out. Xiao Bao cried to his aunt, who stood in the kitchen with the children without speaking. Hua Nai was so angry that she ran over and wanted to lift the sole of her shoe. Xiao Bao was clever and quickly said, Nai, Xiao Bao's mouth is not full. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude to Yin Yangjun for his unwavering dedication, pen refills, and 7 bright stars. I am afraid of being rejected in my visa application. The editor promised to change my pen name, Happy. I have replaced the cover, everyone refresh and take a look. Also, everyone can help catch bugs and correct typos every day. You vote, I vote, make me strive to be loved by the editor. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Be prepared. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Be prepared. Under the strict demands of Hua Nai, Heisheng had to hand over the power of distribution to his mother. He also wants to see what an old mother who is basically flat in a bowl of water would do in her sweet mouth. In ancient times, the idea of valuing sons over daughters was too heavy. In situations where other families refused to raise daughters, was Hua Nai really not biased at all? Not to mention the style of sister-in-law, Xiao Bao is treasure, and daughters are all grass. At present, there is only one male member in this family, Xiao Bao. It's hard to say if you're really biased, let's just watch. In the end, Lao Xinjiang and his brothers, along with his sister-in-law, divided the baby's ears into 2 pieces that were half the size of a palm, while the daughter-in-law and sister-in-law shared 1.5 pieces. The children, regardless of gender, also received 1 piece. Without saying a word, his sister-in-law, Heisheng, was about to snatch the ox horn from Sani's hand and give it to Xiao Bao. Hua Tian then grabbed Xiaobao's hand and said, "Auntie, the dough and eggs were both brought back from our town. If you take third sisters, I can't guarantee that you will get Xiaobao back. The child from a poor family is already sensible." When Hua Tian threatened to take away his horns, Hua Xiaobao's mouth became flat, but he was wronged. "Hua Xiaobao, don't cry. Sister asked you." Hua Tian looked at Hua Xiaobao with a stern expression. Hua Xiaobao pursed his mouth and forced himself not to cry, responding. "Do you want to eat big meat buns? Do you want to eat sticky congee? Well, just like the second aunt. And solid rice." Hua Tian thinks he is definitely not a pie. Why is it difficult? Hua Xiaobao nodded like pounding garlic and said, "Think. Think. Think. Well, I promise you, only you will be obedient all the way. If you don't compete with the third sister, the fourth sister will give you big meat buns, sticky congee and solid rice. Do you agree?" Hua Xiaobao smelled the mellow smell of rice porridge and looked at the horn on his hand. "You are a man. Men don't rob women's things. If you still rob third sister of her delicious food, I will rob you. You have to think carefully." Hua Tian's faint threat completely ignored Auntie's expression of grinding teeth. Xiaobao has his own, Xiaobao doesn't want his sister's. Hua Xiaobao wrapped his ears tightly with both hands and couldn't let fourth sister snatch them away. "He sure, you can't die as an old lady. How can I do it? How can you take it? When Sanier grows up, you rest like a moth." Hua Nai was about to pull out the soles of her shoes, but she didn't expect Hua Tian to take a step faster. "What the granddaughter said is reasonable. Everything is brought from the town. If he sure really dares to be unfair, the granddaughter will certainly handle it. But this villain can't let his granddaughter be fooled. Xiaobao, be good, your young lady won't rob you. Look, your little sister hasn't robbed you either, right?" "Yes." Hua Xiaobao clapped her hands happily. "He sure, don't be so shallow with your eyelids. My son and daughter are the same here, old lady. It's good to teach my grandson crooked. Flour milk follows the warning." Auntie just pouted and let go of Sanier's hand. Hua Nai finished dealing with the farce and asked everyone to continue tidying up. After finishing speaking, he took Hua Tian to the kitchen and picked out a crispy fried oil residue from his father's lard. Hua Tian squinted her eyes as she chewed on the crispy oil residue, as if she had returned to her childhood in a previous life. "Milk, are you taking me to eat alone? Is that okay?" Hua Tian took out a cloth towel and wiped his mouth, stealing without wiping his mouth. It was so bad to be seen, and now she truly felt that the elder sister said Hua Milk had a fondness for her. After all, memories and real-life experiences are indeed very different. If you don't say it yourself, the things belong to you. Don't think too much. Your father interrupted his career in order to save money for your uncle, and his milk is guilty. Just listen to it, don't say your father listens. Oh, did you think of those ideas about chopping bamboo before eating? That's really good. We'll go soon. Xianier runs between the city and the countryside during the cold and summer seasons, and has more knowledge than rural children, so Hua Nai doesn't feel abnormal either. At this moment, uncle and aunt's parents sorted out the family and called uncle and aunt outside the house. The family arranged to put on knives and prepare to chop bamboo. Uncle Dong rushed over with a bow on his back and said, "Where are you going, my in-laws? Let me help." He sure was half sold and half married by her parents to exchange marriage for her brother back then. Not to mention, she had resentment in her heart. The family had moved somewhere and disappeared long ago. Because the girls from their parents have a deep-rooted belief that they are losers, the victim becomes the perpetrator, which is why they consider the third sister to be grass. So, she doesn't have any family to notify to flee together. What a coincidence. Let's go to Li Shujiao to chop bamboo, and you can also prepare it at your house. Let's go, everyone. Hua Nai said without being polite to Uncle Dong. I've heard my daughter say that. I believe Uncle Hua's words. Let Lily and her mother accompany us to tidy up, and we'll go together. Uncle Dong walked over and patted Heisheng's shoulder, saying to Hua Nai. Uncle, what are you doing? The blooming flowers were taken short, wanting to say that not only was their strength strong, but they also had a matte texture. This physique is too poor to say, after all, the woman's family is wealthy, and her basic needs are not compromised. It's too good, let alone impossible. After all, people who study cannot faint just by collecting food. Haha. Second nephew, what's going on? Your uncle's strength is feasible. It's difficult to ensure safety on the way. I'll give you another pair of my bao later. Do you think so? Uncle Dong originally came to show off his weapons. Uncle, what about me? Uncle Hua hurriedly asked. All of them, all of them. Uncle Dong said with great confidence. I want it. I need it. Only my archery skills. Hua Fansheng expressed lack of confidence. My daughter Law's eyesight and archery skills are what make her great. Thank you, Uncle. Uncle Hua exclaimed excitedly. According to Hua Tian's memory, Uncle Hua is quite capable of not becoming a martial artist. He is naturally strong and loves to move. How do you know if you don't try? I'll do it soon. Uncle Dong struck a firm note. Hua Nai opened her mouth and didn't stop. The bandits on the road were so fierce that she had never seen them before. Second and third, study hard. The road may not be peaceful. I don't think so, just as your third uncle said why your grandfather didn't entrust his dreams to him, but instead entrusted them to your mother. It must be a warning to your loved ones. Don't be careless, Hua Nai encouraged. All right, don't worry, mother. Our whole village is united this time, and no matter what, there will be more security. Hua Fansheng felt that his mother's words had a deeper meaning and left a wake-up call. Ah Nai, Grandpa said to be careful when sailing a ship for thousands of years. It's always right to be cautious and keep an eye out for everything in advance. Hua Tian pleaded, anyway, she shouldn't rely on her elders for anything she says at her age. Hua Fansheng nodded in agreement and said, yes. Originally, they grew up in Xena Middle School and lived under the red flag, so they must not believe in those feudal theories. However, the issue of time travel and platforms fell on them, so they couldn't help but not believe it. In the afternoon, the whole family was working in full swing at Huajia without further elaboration. The town was not very lively, so even if they were careful, the people in the town felt that something was wrong. Lala, sprinkle flowers, celebrate the successful signing of this game, and the babies can get ready to invest. Thank you to the family members who voted for the recommendation. The title of the book has changed, please refresh. The rules for adding updates are as follows. Every 30 or more monthly tickets will receive one update, and every 10,000 yuan will receive an additional update. Finally, if the recommended ticket reaches 1,000 yuan, the update will be added. Let's build it up. This month, we will temporarily add updates. Starting from the first, double updates will be the basic practice, and any additional updates will be added. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Don't provoke us to hide. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Don't provoke us to hide. The honest but accountable man revealed a little bit that his ancestors had a dream, and that Huajia village needed some financial luck to improve, which was why he sold the hard-earned land at a discounted price. Anyway, Huajia village has been a foreign village for 100 years, willing to buy and sell, neither stealing or robbing, and didn't say anything more. In the end, the price was just suppressed. As the sun sets in the western mountains, the men who went out to sell and buy have already rushed back around 3 to 5 p.m. in Shenzhen time. The flower family truly embodies the power of many people. In just one afternoon, they loaded the designed frame, small bamboo bed, the bows and arrows taught by Uncle Dong, and the things organized by the women onto the car. Kai Shuefen also installed the dismantled gauze curtains on the carriage of Guanban as expected. Watching the Changsheng family's grain pile up 3 carts, the old lady in the grandfather's brother's house, yes, always tries to occupy his land and steal his grain, making the old lady on the milky bed completely envious. Sister-in-law, how do you say you when you call me that? When my father-in-law left, he asked us to help your family well, but you're lucky. Zhu Beiji used a magic tool. A hammer and a rake. I thought your family had a small population and were all scholars, so I thought about helping you plant some land. You're good, Monsuan said. I'm taking over the land in your house and the grain in your family. Please ask everyone to take a look. If I really take over the grain in this house, can there still be so much? Do you think you have wronged your sister-in-law? Uncle Xiao pointed to the grain cart pulled by the 3 mules in their house and said. There is another car that is not only filled with grain but also with cloth and bedding. After sorting it out, Kai Shuefen handed out the purchased shoes in pairs. The pots, bowls, ladles, and pots that are light and economical are placed on the first floor of the main carriage, while the other half of the auxiliary trailer is loaded with jars, small amounts of firewood, and large pots. Huan Yang, along with her uncle and aunt, ingeniously hung baskets on the outer eaves of each car's carriage panels, and medicinal herbs were divided into baskets in each car's carriage. The ox cart was surrounded by ropes, drying corn and still partially dried rice. The nails nailed to the ox cart pillars hung livestock and dried salted meat. They have fewer men in their houses, 1 in a car and 1 in a servant. Here, there is a mule cart from the Dong family carrying grain. When the time comes, Aunt's mother will ride in the car, while Uncle Dong will drive. Flower Dad drives a cart, and the upper level can sleep with Flower Milk and Auntie. On the first floor, she threw herself on the mat and became the chief throne of her mother. The road was bumpy and her mother's moon was shallow, but she had to suffer. There is a small bamboo table that is used for eating and tea on the way. There are several bamboo mats placed around it, and the mother cut the mats from the townhouse onto the mats. There are 3 more beds that have been thinned and rolled up to 3 pounds. They are usually placed side by side on the left side of the frame of the car, and sitting on a cushion can serve as a sofa. Sleep like a sleeping bag pressing down on the lid. On the right side, there is a mobile stove and a small pot sprayed by Nai, as well as 2 pottery pots for boiling water. The equipment for long-distance travel is very complete. Hua Tian. Auntie, you're pulling hatred, you're a safe shrimp pig heart. Xiao Yanfeng, what do you mean, Xiao Yanfeng? You don't know if my son is running a grain shop or something. When my father-in-law asked your family to help, he didn't mean to let you take advantage of it. Before speaking, I thought about it, and I couldn't see you say anything red or white. My family's food is mostly for eating or for taking up your own. If you are envious, you can buy 2 more acres of farmland and plant it. Let's talk nonsense here. My family can't compare to Uncle San's family either. You have the ability to envy Uncle San, but you are so brave. As more and more villagers stared at her house with wolf-like eyes, Hua Nai gritted her teeth secretly. Xiao Yanfeng, who couldn't lift it clearly, couldn't write 2 flowers with a single stroke, and the 2 houses were broken bones and connected tendons. How could she not see her so well? Yes, her family is all intellectuals, but the population is not very strong. My father-in-law leans towards intellectuals, but the big house is all owned by sons and grandsons, each with strong labor. If the 2 brothers' families can do well, will this combination of civil and martial arts still be popular? I'm so angry. Fortunately, I listened to the words of the second family and received all the refined grains in the middle of the car. If I didn't lie down, I wouldn't be able to see them. Otherwise, these pairs of eyes are staring at me, really. Hua Tian. That's right, What's the skill of being horizontal in the nest? Third uncle, could you please help me send a letter to the magistrate, asking him not to read the list and stay at the post office to wait for the letter? Hua Nai turned around and smiled at third uncle Gong, adding eye drops as another reminder. Okay, don't forget. Prosperity is the only scholar in our village. Even in a new place, it's not easy without prosperity. Besides, this is still in the imperial examination. If you succeed in the exam, you will be the master of the imperial examination, and at the very least, you will be the county magistrate. Understand? Also, Brother Fong has set his sights on Tuameng. If anyone doesn't believe him now, there's no need to follow the team. If that happens, I see who dares not remember the kindness of the Chongqing family. The old man, this tiger-headed staff, is the first to refuse. Prosperity is also the body of a child, with achievements and fame on his body. In this barren year, he will inevitably encounter officials and government officials on the road. When the time comes, your words will be of no use to me, Xingzi. Did you all hear me? Uncle Huasan's voice was loud and full of vitality. They all say that the population is not prosperous, but the scholar, this. It's just confidence. Uncle San, no one knows that you are the only one among the 10 miles and 8 villages who can deliver messages to the inn. You are the most amazing. Second, please help your mother write another letter to your elder brother and bring it along with your third uncle's letter. Only Li Zhenya has this authority. Hua Nai patted Hua Dad's back. Okay, Mom, how should I write it? You want your brother to be listed as a son.in.law, and your brother is also good.looking. Let him remember that he has a family and stay away from women like the princess and county head. We can't afford to provoke or hide from him. Hua Nai said. Father Hua chuckled and said, Mother, do you still know about monarchs and county lords? Can you keep an eye on my brother? You're such a kid who doesn't know how to deal with your own brother. What if it's the case? Who is handsome between you and your brother? There's also Chen Shimi in the drama. How could I not know about princesses and county lords? As a common person in our family, don't provoke royal relatives or relatives. You and your brother still have to go to school. Becoming a county horse will make it difficult for you to show your ambitions. This statement was told to her by De Air the previous time. If De Air had not been knowledgeable enough and a staunch loyalist, she would have been able to be a close vassal of the emperor. Otherwise, those with such identities will be suppressed by imperial power. What kind of princess's father, princes and the like are all fierce competitors among the late emperors? If the prince's son.in.law were to seize power, wouldn't he have internal worries? Right. What my mother said is that art comes from life. Maybe Chen Shimi really does have that kind of thing. The first condition is to be good.looking, so my older brother's first condition is met. So, according to what you say, my brother is both talented and beautiful. What should he do if he is really entangled by a woman? It's difficult to pick up a pen even when the flowers are flourishing. As a younger brother, he said to his elder brother. Brother, you need to abide by male virtues. We must have a sense of responsibility and not abandon our wives and daughters. How can we say that? So be resolute in your attitude, don't be greedy for wealth. You also need to let your brother relieve his worries and promise to catch up with him someday. If your brother can't take it seriously for a while, considering you will also be a part of the reason, Hua Nai reminded. Can we set off tomorrow? Don't worry, the fixed stamp is 0.05, and next month it will be 0.05 and 6 in the evening. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Late Departure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Late departure. The flowers are flourishing. Does this brother sound quite protective of his younger brother? Did Tian say she gave up the opportunity for further education in the beginning? The older sister in her past life was like this, because she had to provide him with education. As a person with excellent character and education, she voluntarily dropped out of high school in her 3rd year. Afterwards, he also tried his best to make up for his elder sister, which is the responsibility and guilt of a poor scholar. Second, you must work hard. Don't disappoint your brother's expectations. Hua Nai took Hua Dad's hand and lightly patted it, reminding her. After the disaster that hit the second son's family last time, the second son felt depressed and never studied again. Her understanding of being an old mother is that the second child is the most emotional and concerned about family matters. Otherwise, she wouldn't have given up the qualification to enter school to her elder brother in the first place. Flower Dad. I'm under a lot of pressure. Mother, I wrote I'll hand it over to third Uncle Gong, and I'll continue my studies. Don't say anything more. Hua's father looked at Hua Tian while secretly enjoying himself, as if going back to the time when Xuefan earnestly instructed her daughter and Chaoer. It seems like Swede is saying. Dad, look, you also have today, Feng Shui takes turns. Okay, you're the one who started a family and became a father. If my mother doesn't talk about you, then it's okay. Flower Dad experienced the warmth between mother and son again. Uncle San noticed that the sky was getting dark, so he urged people to go door and mobilize them. Some of them were unwilling to leave, but Uncle Hua's repeated persuasion was ineffective. He also shook his drink for the last time and said, when is it? Yes, you can't believe my Guangrui brother's daydream, but haven't you seen the river dry to the bottom? Not to mention our village, we won't be able to hold on for a few more days next door. When we move, there will be those who discover clues, and there will definitely be those who follow us. Take a good look. I still don't know if the environment in my hometown is good, even though I am working here. The water in the river can only last for half a month now. Today, those who are about to leave will fill it up, so there will be even less water. It's a drought. How should you survive? The old man is someone who has come over. Our flower family is not very prosperous, they can't bear the loss. Uncle San's sincere words finally shook a few households to follow. Uncle San, why are you in such a hurry? Can you wait a few more days? At this moment, the old lady became anxious again and grabbed Uncle San, who had just returned home and was about to return home. Hua Tian's family had another congee of soup. Kai Xuefan pressed Hua Tian and washed her head again with soap pods and pancakes. I'm afraid she can't wash it again on the way. Just as I was about to pour water, I was scolded by Hua Nai for being a loser. I left the water and continued to wash it with Air, San, Ni, and Xiao Bao. After washing it, it turned into a gray, turbid color. Huanyang quickly dragged Hua Tian, who had finished washing her hair, to avoid the ox cart. Huanyang said, I don't want to experience the pain of having a baby before giving birth. She even secretly cut half of the hair of a family of 3 with scissors in the town, and even tied up the cut hair to make a contract. Anyway, tie it up and cover it up, no one can see it. When there are more people, the biggest fear is that they will grow lice. Thinking about it, the whole person will not be good. This will be drying hair in the car, and Flower Dad followed and sat in the driver's seat. It seems like Uncle is going to do it again. Hua Tian whispered, Mom, look at Auntie, she's jumping. Why are you gossiping so much? Just take a look. Don't keep quiet about adults' matters. After speaking, she also eavesdropped openly. Who made Auntie secretly plot loudly as if afraid of not being heard. I won't tell you, there's no common topic. Nai must also want to watch, she just likes to see her aunt in a hurry, murmured Hua Tian in a low voice. Okay, frying a piece of your milk will buy you off, Kai said with a look on her face. I won't talk to you, a person with no pattern. Wait a minute, wait for the official to discover and investigate, or wait for other families to also move and compete with us on the way. You say, what's going on? Uncle San asked patiently. Auntie patted her thigh tightly and said, Ah Gui. Ah Gui has gone to pick up his wife and hasn't come back yet. You're confused. The other family is in the neighboring village, so I let them go. The fifth daughter. In-law is on the back of the mountain by the sea. You're so angry with the old man. It's in the southeast direction of Fengying town, and in the northeast of Huajia village. It's a completely different story. Well, my daughter in-law is about to give birth, and I can't even wait for her to receive it. Her mother's family wants to make up for her body before giving birth. What is there to say about me as a mother-in-law? The 5 uncles in the uncle's family are wealthy and wealthy. Uncle Fangui is the youngest, only 20.3, 1 year younger than Uncle Hua, and also cunning. I saw Uncle San's eyes fixed on the several cars at their doorstep, led by her bold ox cart. My eldest-in-laws will arrive at Shilipo tomorrow, and I can wait at Shilipo for a day. Uncle San doesn't favor one over another, don't blame Uncle San. Last noon, the Chongqing family said they would wait for their in-laws at Shilipo, and your family also sent the 5th son to listen. Don't pretend to be foolish. It was he who listened attentively that he lost his sense of propriety, but at that time he didn't say he would drive overnight. The old lady anxiously turned around. Uncle finally came out, what's going on? 3rd uncle, you are the same grandfather as my father. You can't let us watch our little son suffer. Uncle grabbed Uncle San's sleeve and pulled it. Uncle San pulled back his sleeve with a strong hatred and said, it's not that I refuse to wait. The commotion today has already alarmed the town. Uncle San is worried that it will change if it's too late, and I dare not leave in the daytime. The commotion is even greater. Look around, the drivers have lit torches. There are 23 households here, ranging from more than 20 to less than 2. After waiting for the eldest-in-laws, there will be over 300 people. Do you think going out in the daytime can bring peace? Hua Tian. Do you still have imagination when it comes to burying pots for cooking? Seeing my aunt's angry expression, Uncle glared angrily at her and complained, I just said it's too late. You must go. Isn't there still our little grandson? We can be so ruthless. What can a grandson do? Don't you think there's not enough? Isn't a granddaughter good enough? Half a child eats from a poor old man and saves me some food on the way. Uncle shook his sleeve and turned to his aunt. Chongqing, not to mention that Uncle San didn't come up with a solution for you, there are still 8 households in the village that haven't left. If Agui really doesn't understand how to adapt and return to the village, they should be able to catch up with the small number of people and fast footsteps. Uncle San also knew that the grand and bustling group in the village couldn't walk quickly, so he comforted them. As for whether your uncle will encounter any obstacles or unexpected changes that he cannot catch up with, it is not something that Uncle San can consider. He has to shoulder the heavy responsibility of the clan leader and cannot sacrifice everyone for 1 or 2 small families or a small family. De Yong. Come and carry your grandfather. Fan Yong, the great-grandson of Grand-Uncle, walked out of the blue brick and tile house at the village head. The team with 1 ox cart, 1 donkey cart, and 3 mule carts at the back is even more impressive. Are you all ready? Let's go. There has been a problem with the system in the past few days, and everyone's comments cannot be displayed. However, I can still receive them in my back end. Thank you for your comments. I will continue to seek long-term reviews and votes, and various requests. Your votes are getting fewer and fewer, Yin Yang. Oh, crying. Also, after signing the contract, you can give rewards, please do not give rewards to minors. Monthly tickets can also be invested, and investments can also be made. Next month, there should be a return on investment of 4,000 yuan in a row. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Travel Regulations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Travel Regulations. Fan Yonghua is about a few years older than his uncle. It is precisely because he is strong and sturdy that Uncle Hua San, who weighs about 100 pounds, can carry it on his back. His feet are quite fast. Under the command of Uncle Hua Santai, he prioritized his family's one cow, followed by the village chief who was also a Tang uncle of the Hua family, Uncle Yu, who owned a cow. The last one was the flour butcher family, who only had 2 daughters. Their sons Law were both powerful but not very intelligent. Fortunately, their children were all of normal intelligence. Next is their family. Heisheng looked back and found that everything was the same. The better the conditions, the more livestock there were, the higher the line ahead. Those who walked on legged carts all followed behind, making it easy for them to fall behind. If there was really something chasing after them, it would also be the most painful for those behind. Another thing is that it will slow down the entire team schedule. Uncle San, we need to have a formation. Hua Fancheng shouted to the front. I saw Fan Yonghua holding onto the cow rope, and the cow obediently stopped. However, there was not even time for the 2 families to come to a stop, so they collided with the mule cart in front of them. The mule cart was rear-ended, and then there was a series of people and horses flipping, which was too sudden. Uncle San helped his forehead and murmured, "It's been less than a quarter of an hour since I left. There's indeed a problem. How could I not have thought of it earlier? What should I do?" Then he shouted, "Shengzi, come here." Each family also sends a representative to listen. How to get there and what are the regulations? It took a while for the small chaos in front to be rearranged, and it was not until the first 19 households were sent to gather them. Hua Tian relied on her small stature and insisted on following her father to listen. Hua Nai knew that her granddaughter was curious and had a lot of knowledge, so she let her go. Hua Fancheng knew his daughter's heart even more, and if he had any omissions, she could also supplement him, so she carried her on her back. Uncle San, we need to discuss it well. I really don't know if we don't move. Fan Yonghua said helplessly, aren't you calling me Yi? I'll stop and listen, who knows? Alright, things can only be discovered in such a timely manner when they happen. Now it's time to correct mistakes and come up with the right regulations. Transportation, Hua Tian reminded in his father's ear. Father Hua nodded, he also noticed it. First, each family should provide the number of flatbed carts they have and the number of carts they can pull. Then, the strong labor force of each family, as well as the elderly and young who are physically weak, should be counted. Uncle San, do you have a list? Yes, it's for the purpose of checking the number of people. Uncle San is Li Zheng, and of course, he's not completely unprepared. This saves one thing, do you remember the livestock? How strong and weak are they? Father Hua asked again. Report it now. Uncle San said decisively. So the newspapers from each family, Hua Tian combined with the list given by Uncle Santai to Huada, and carried out mental calculations in his heart. I saw 8 adults from Uncle San's family who knew how to calculate, almost using their fingers at the same time, feeling dizzy and confused. Uncle San, on the other hand, maintained the authority of the clan leader, staring at answers such as Flower Father. There are 160 strong laborers, including men and women, 50 elderly people, with a total of 30 horns, 40 dangling children, and 3 pregnant women. Hua Fancheng secretly breathed a sigh of relief, but fortunately Xuefen was not an exception, not so catching among the protected population. 20 mule carts and 3 ox carts, of which 13 households have no livestock, and 13 households have a total of 20 strong laborers. The elderly are 20.8 in total, with a height of 20.5. One household has no carts, 1 elderly, 1 widow, and 1 child. Hua Tian also said, that family without carts is also too difficult. If it weren't for that little grandson, they wouldn't have followed suit, would they? 23 households have 20.3 livestock, and it's impossible to have 1 for each household. How should we divide this? In this way, in addition to their own elderly people, 3 elderly people and 1 child will sit on a mule cart. 5 households with mule carts will be divided into 2 groups of 5 households, using the method of Tianji horse racing, with a combination of strength and weakness. Starting with Uncle San, my family will bring 3 households with only 1 mule cart, and then Uncle Changyue and Uncle Changlai will bring 3 households with 2 mule carts. Uncle Hua Santai, like her family, has 4 cars. His family brought Uncle Dong and his family, 1 car. Uncle Hua Santai also brought a family-in-law and a family with his own nephew. Then Changyue's uncle and uncle's family have 3 cars, while Hua Butcher's family and the remaining 2 families have 2 cars. Their mule cart was filled with many elderly and children from other families. Xiao Bao acted coquettishly and rubbed against the top layer of the ox cart. In order not to show favoritism, Hua Tian also called San Ni Jia over. In fact, the 3 sisters and Big Treasure all have names, called Fong and Xiang. The father gave the 2 children the big names Tian and Yi, so the second big name is actually Huajia, while the 3rd sister and Little Treasure are Hua Fei and Astrology. The villagers think rough names are easy to make ends meet, so they all rank them according to age. The cart is in the middle, and the man's strong labor is on the outermost edge, forming the word mouth. This way, even when tired, he can switch positions with the women in the house. Men should not bring out the bad habits in the house. Anyone who is reported should be kicked out of the team. Such a black sheep will only drag down the entire refugee team. What we value is unity. Do you know what unity is? Look at me. A stick snapped with the words of Flower Dad, and this bundle of fire sticks was tied up in groups. Do you think I can easily break it? There's no way, right? This is the power of unity. A bamboo pole is difficult to cross the vast ocean, everyone is rowing. Start a big sailboat. A small tree is weak and can't resist the wind and rain, roaring, 100 miles of forest. Stand shoulder to shoulder and endure the cold of the year. Hua Tian. Sweating, Dad, why did you just start humming? Expose your age so much. That's right. Our son Xing knows a lot, not to mention it, it sounds really nice. The village head's second uncle is his father's age, and we have a relationship of climbing trees and digging bird eggs together. At this moment, he was quite supportive. I announced that this is the team song on our way. You must sing it to me before dinner. Uncle Santai said with a firm tone. Can Hua Tian imagine what kind of magical chaos will ensue in the future? However, Huajia village has a custom of folk songs, shouldn't it be too unpleasant to listen to? However, Uncle San is so open-minded. You can tell from the barracks that shouting slogans is a good thing. Can constantly enhance cohesion, invisibly empowering blue fatty. Traffic police flag, Dad. Hua Tian whispered to her dad. We need to agree on a few secret signals for marching, such as the formation of the military camp with drums, shooting arrows towards the sky, and honking gold. Let's use colors instead. My house has a red, yellow, and green flag, and I will hand it over to Air Shangu. Moving forward, the green flag will go up. Turning left, the green flag will go up, turning left, and turning right will go up. The red flag will stop immediately. Before switching from a green flag to a red flag, the team should be given half an hour to slow down the yellow flag before switching to a red flag. Red is desperately saving manuscripts and is about to transfer to another month. Are your monthly passes ready? At the end of the month, can you hand over all the tickets you have in your hands? You vote for me, I vote for you. Hong Hong will soon make her debut. End of this chapter.